So welcome back everybody, my name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. And if you've been following along throughout this crazy journey of us building our own house, things are slowly getting wrapped up as far as finishing touches and being able to get ready to potentially move in or to get that okay from the inspector. So I have a few more details and things that I want to do. Starting in this episode, let's go ahead. We just knocked all the trim out in the house, trimmed out the doors, the baseboard moldings, all that stuff. That took quite a few days to get all that up to standard. So let's just keep with the trim here in this episode. Let's trim out the toe kicks around all these cabinets. Should not take too terribly long, but working with a completely different type of trim here. And then to be honest with you, I don't know what else we're gonna get into in this episode. It's probably already been put in the title. I'm gonna let this run over 2 to 3 days. I have tons of stuff that just showed up. UPS dropped off a lot more that's gonna be getting delivered today and tomorrow. We're just gonna start knocking things out. It's punch list time. Let's get this house wrapped up and ready for a CO. All right, so a lot of y'all know that we went with Lily Ann cabinets for our cabinetry. They're an RTA or ready to assemble cabinet manufacturer out of Michigan. They have stores all over the place. And basically they ship you your cabinets. You can either assemble them yourself like I did, or you can have them come straight off the truck already assembled. But the nice thing about them too is they also offer all the decorative trim. I'm talking tons of different style trims, from corner moldings to crown moldings to toe kick moldings, everything. So we went with a little bit more decorative toe kick molding for the outside peninsula, whatever you want to call it. I keep calling it a bar top there because this will get seen a lot. So we're going to do decorative molding there, and then we're just going to do flat toe kick molding, very bland, basic, but will hide all the cabinet edges everywhere else in the kitchen. So I'm going to start by making a 45 cut here on the end because we have to put 2 pieces together coming around that outside cabinet. Now here's the thing, I just got done doing tons of molding and trim and all inside that was white, painted white, and you could use caulking to seal any imperfections. When it comes to woodworking like this with actual wood, well, there's no room for error. I have to be intentional about my cuts, make sure I've got everything set up perfectly because, well, there's no caulking that I can add here that is wood colored like this. Now we do have a little bit of filler that they sent with a touch-up kit and a little bit of paint that we will need to use on these cut ends here or it will be visible. And let's plug our saw in. So quick little tip, and ask me how I know this. Always let your blade come to a complete stop, and I'm very guilty of not doing this. I'm trying to trigger on it more and more before you lift it, especially coming out of delicate trim, because these big teeth that kind of stick out from the blade, if you still have the blade spinning down as you've let off and you release it, a lot of times it will catch on the edge of your trim and knock a chunk out of it, ruining your piece of trim, especially on something like this that you can't caulk. All right, so we'll put this first piece that we cut in down here on this side. We'll slide this piece over here, and I can already see I've got some trimming to do on the cabinets. But man, oh man, is that a really good fit. It's gonna look sharp. All right, so there is a little piece of the cabinet that I am going to have to trim off. All right, so I believe I showed this off in the last episode, but I have this end that's going to be exposed to the room, and if we were to just cut it, well, you would see a completely different colored wood here, not the actual stain colored piece. So what I did, I just took a little piece of scrap and I cut me a 45, and the piece that is left is the exact thickness of this trim right here. So what happens whenever you put that piece onto this 45 that I just cut here, now you have a good looking end piece. Now we have some filler material and some paint to color this up so you won't hardly see the seam, but that looks night and day better than, well, just having an old blunt end that's that color. All right, so down here where these two 45s meet, well, you know, once we cut them, it's a plain colored piece of wood. And that presents a little bit of a problem, especially being that we can't caulk the joints. So this very outside edge, I'm actually going to use a paint pen that Lillian sent with the cabinets. This is a touch-up kit. And I'm going to paint this outside edge. So I'm just going to run around that outside edge just like that on both pieces. So when I put them together, you can't actually look in any tiny bit of gap and see this white wood. That makes it really stand out. Now it's colored close to the same color as the actual wood itself. All right, so now I'm just gonna put a few dabs of construction adhesive. I'm not trying to just really glue and lock this thing in. I just don't wanna have to fill it full of brad nail holes. So I'll just put a few dabs on the back every so often. And then I have a 18 gauge brad nailer with little small 1-inch brads that should be plenty for doing this. All right, now I will pop a couple of brads in that you can't even really see. Try to put them in an inconspicuous place. And we'll line these two 45s up right here. All right, and I did pop one brad out here where you can clearly see it to lock both of my joints together. That's where this kit comes. It's almost like a crayon stick, but it's colored hole filler material, and it blends in very, very well. All right, so we'll put a little bit of that in that brad hole. Smooth it all out. And you can't even tell where I shot a brad in. That's awesome. And that joint looks perfect. All right, so this here is just flat toe kick trim. No special designs in it, nothing fancy at all, but it's colored the same color as the cabinets. It's made out of plywood. That is critical to me. I have seen plenty of cabinets with MDF toe kicks. Maybe the cabinet itself is made out of it. And if you mop or Swiffer or spray any kind of liquids, or it's inevitable that something's gonna hit the floor, moisture is, you're gonna spill drinks over the years, water's gonna get up front, it will peel, it will separate. Now, plywood's, not waterproof by no means, but much better than MDF, so I'm happy to see this is actually 3 different layers of plywood in this little 1/4-inch material. So I've got to rip this down. It's just a little too wide for what I need. And I'm actually gonna lift the blade up high. I know typically you lower it for safety reasons, don't have it sticking up much above your wood, but this flimsy stuff tends to wanna ride up and over a blade. And one of y'all mentioned the other day, hey, raise your blade up. Do the exact opposite that you normally do with this thin stuff, and it should cut it better. So let's try it out. I almost forgot to plug this one in. I'm swapping cords back and forth. I'm gonna wind up getting y'all the not plugged in footage here before long. Whoever suggested to raise the blade, you're a genius. That worked beautiful. And I totally see and understand why. So if you have the blade down low on the back side, it's actually, the teeth are coming up. It's gonna wanna push your material up. If you raise it up really high, as the teeth come around and are digging and cutting, they're gonna wanna push your material down on the front side. That makes perfect sense for something that's really thin and lightweight and wants to lift up. Now, if you're running heavier material through here, it's probably not gonna matter. The weight of the material is gonna keep it down on the blade. Awesome. That's the things I love about sharing this journey. I know at times I try to sound like I know a lot of what I'm doing. Things I'm confident on, I will share. But heck, I just admitted to y'all a while back, I'm borrowing this table saw from my father. Never really owned one other than a really junky old Craftsman that has just never run right. So this is a learning curve for me right here. I love that I'm able to share some things that I know and that y'all are sharing tips and tricks and comments down in the comment section. That's why I always encourage people to read down there. Thank you, that worked awesome. All right, kind of the same story again. A few dabs, let's put this up here, of construction adhesive in certain areas, so I don't have to do brad nails everywhere. All right, so the last piece here is this outside corner molding. Let's see what we're gonna have to do to make this fit properly. You know what? That doesn't look half bad, just like it is. I don't think I'm gonna rip that down at all. All right, and just like that, the cabinets are trimmed out, and man, what a difference does that make. So there's that nice decorative trim, the outside corner that we just put on. Got the decorative trim that runs all the way down to there, and this is one heck of a difference. It's gonna be hard to see by camera, but now you don't see the front plywood edges and gaps and holes around all these cabinets. Now we have a nice finished look. All right, it's been a heck of a long day. This is my second episode I'm recording today. I've knocked out all the trim, the painting, now on the cabinet stuff. I'm gonna knock off this afternoon to see y'all back in the morning. I'll think on what we're gonna get into next on this episode. All right, so it's next morning. I told y'all I would sleep on it. Just so happens our door handles that have been lost thanks to the Postal Service running around the country finally showed up yesterday. Man, we've been having a horrible time with postal shipping here lately. But a lot of people have been asking, what are we doing for interior doors? Well, we wound up going with a relatively affordable set from Amazon. I kept calling them knobs, and I should have known to say we are going with lever style. I think it's gonna match these two panel doors great. Black everything again to kind of keep the black theme going with the trusses, the black glazing, black hardware for the cabinets. We have a lot of stuff that finally showed up, so we can keep knocking this stuff out. We also got our exterior door handles in. So let's go ahead and put those in so we can start locking the house up, securing things. And if we need to close any interior doors, heck, we're gonna have this stuff done as well. Let's jump right into it. All right, so you're gonna notice that these all are the locking style. We bought them as a package, as a kit, and got an excellent price on it. Do we really need locking style handles for a pantry and a few other things? No, not really. But again, the savings of buying it as a kit, we want locking door handles for bedrooms and bathrooms. So heck, we might as well purchase them all in a package deal like this and get the savings. All right, so I went ahead and popped my latch plate in and I installed those. I don't use these little small factory, like 3/4 inch screws that these come with. I actually use 2-inch screws to go into there just for extra strength. You never know if for some reason down the road, you had to find safety in this room, and I would much rather have stronger screws right there, keeping a potential break-in or problem from happening. Now, as far as this part of the install goes, just take your actual latch, slide that in here, Check the fit. All right, then we'll go ahead and attach it with a couple of these provided screws. Then it's relatively straightforward after this. All right, so now we'll slide our handle through. All right, so you typically put the lock side on the inside of the room, but with these being bath and bedroom handles, you can unlock it from the other side with something thin and flat. These aren't true security type doors. There we go. These are a relatively stiff door handle. They work in either direction. But they are kind of stiff. I might have got what I paid for. Maybe they just have a really strong spring in there. All right, let's check this out. All right, one down, several more to go. So it's a good look. I like it. All right, so now it is time to install our exterior door handles. We're at the point in the home to where we'll be slowly putting things in, and it's nice to go ahead and have a lock and key set, deadbolt, everything else for your home. Now with that said, yes, we're doing deadbolt combo here, but let's face it, I'm gonna do some things to really beef this up, but well, locks keep honest people honest nowadays. With windows and everything else that you have in a home, if somebody really wants to break in, all they need is a really big crowbar or just go bust a window out, climb in your home. So there's other means of protection for that. But we still will beef this up just in case, you know, somebody ever tried to enter through a door itself. Now it's gonna take me a few minutes to get this prepped and ready. I can tell you what, we custom ordered these doors in and had the glass and all built to our standards. I'm not happy with these doors at all. They don't seal up very well to the outside, so I'm gonna have to work on the weather stripping, and where the latch and deadbolt holes were cut, it looks absolutely horrible, jagged all over the place. For what we paid for these doors, full fiberglass, everything, really nice doors, I have not been as happy as we should have been. Problem was, you haven't been able to find doors at Lowe's for the longest time, especially for 2x6 walls, so we kind of had to go with something that we ordered in. So I'm gonna take a chisel, work on this for a minute to get it to where it'll fit these plates right here, and then we'll go ahead and start popping this door handle in. So another little tip for y'all, I wound up taping over these handles for the last few months, and the tape now has left residue stuck all to the door. Sticky, can't really get it off. If you've never tried this before, soak a rag in WD-40. Now this will leave a little bit of residue on the door that you'll have to get off, but go over that sticky spot, let this soak in for just a second. This removes stickers, anything stuck on glass, doors like this. It works so good. Try it if you never have. I gotta show y'all this. All right, so there was stickers here. That stuff is disgusting on there, and it's stuck on good. So, check this out. Let that soak in for just a second. And there it is. All that stuck on stuff that I was just scraping with my fingernails is coming right off. I have been doing this for years, and I have never seen it actually hurt anything. Now we'll leave this oily residue on. I need some Windex or something out here to get it off, but I'm just wanting to show y'all how well this works. All right, I think y'all get the general idea. Look, see all the sticker, nasty stuck on mess right there? That's what was just right here. Gone in seconds. Now, when it comes to installing latch plates, I go a little overkill. So the kits come with, well, tiny little screws like that. And those screws are designed to go into the door frame only. But if someone's gonna try to come kick your door in or run into it and bust it in, you're depending on 2 little screws and this little thin piece of wood in your door jamb to not bust out. Well, that's exactly what it's gonna do. So you can run drywall screws all the way into, keep in mind there's double stacked 2x4s right in here. I also have blocking behind this as well to keep it from flexing out and for light switches, other things. But I like to go beyond overkill. These are 4-inch, here's the most important part, number 10 screws. These are deck screws, an extremely strong screw. It'll come all the way through that latch plate and go through both 2x4s that's right here, making up the inside door frame. But that number 10 is key. Very hard to shear off a bolt this thick. Then I'll just paint the heads black with a magic marker and you'll never know the difference, but you're getting a much stronger connection and you're not depending on the little bit of thin wood in the door frame right here. Now I forgot to mention, I went ahead and set my latch in and checked where I wanted to mount my strike plate against the wall, and I like to set them as far back as possible. So you have to push the door closed and it's sealed up tightly now. There's none of that slop and give in the door, because if you have your latch plate or strike plate too far forward, well, the door is not pressed against the seal properly, and you definitely want it sealed for air and for bugs. So play around with the latch plate before you actually permanently mount it by going ahead and putting your striker in and kind of eyeballing how far it'll go. It'll get you a much tighter sealing door. Well, I'm disappointed to say that the deadbolt hole that was routed out into the side of the door here doesn't even remotely line up to where the hole is in the door. Just yet another problem. I believe these doors were Western Reflections was the company. I do not recommend them at all. So I guess now I'm gonna chisel this out and work this opening the size that it needs to be. And looking at this hole, I don't even know what you call it. An oval maybe? Somebody was having a bad day on the router the day that this door was cut and prepared. It looks horrible. None of these holes are even remotely the correct shape. Let's try this and see if I removed enough material. Oh, there it goes. It caught just a little, so I'm going to shave a little bit more material off. And we're ready to finish up install. All right, so now we can go ahead and put the deadbolt latch in. All right, so now it's time to mount our door handle. And I actually have to drill through the door to mount this style. All right, because this is a fiberglass door, it will splinter and chip. So I lightly drilled until the bit barely started coming out this other side. And then I'm gonna turn around and drill back through the other direction. That really helps on blowing out and splintering all the fiberglass this direction. It's always best to do a final torque on things like this with a hand screwdriver. All right, let's test this out. Nice and tight fit, just like I want. Deadbolt locks. Try it from the outside. All right, let's give y'all a look from the outside. So there it is. Handle sure seems mighty close to the wall, but I guess that's just the way it is, especially when you're framed out for 2x6s. So that is the design right there. Tiffany kind of went for a squared off, boxy look, again, to match all these trusses. All right, well, I think to wrap this video and my work day up, I'm gonna install one of the toilets. I'm not gonna show this too much. This bathroom's too tiny for recording. I think I'm gonna release another episode installing the other toilet, showing how I install the toilet. We'll catch some other plumbing stuff in that one. But I'm actually really excited about these toilets. There's nothing I hate more than these new water-saving style toilets that will not flush toilet paper. I've been in many, many homes that if you wipe more than twice and go to flush, well, guess what? It's all plugged up. I hate it with a passion because, well, in this house, we wipe till we're clean. So we went to Lowe's, and let me tell you, it was tempting. They were having toilets on sale and all, like $89 toilets. It was tempting to pick those up to try to save some money, but I knew toilets is where I was willing to splurge and I was gonna get what I wanted. So we bought some really nice American Standard toilets, a little over $500 for both of these, so a considerable amount more than what everything else was in the store. Actually, these were probably, I think, the most expensive toilets in the store, but there's a reason why. So these toilets have a extremely large 4-inch valve right there. So it releases a ton of water very quickly, and it's one of the higher gallon per minute flushing toilets. Actually, if you look on the side of the box, as gimmicky as it is, they claim it'll flush an entire basket of golf balls in a single flush. Now we're talking. I've even considered power assist toilets, everything else, but I had no problems in our older home that had old toilets that actually flushed more than, 0.7 of a gallon a minute. Nothing wrong with trying to save water, but if there's one area that I could care less about, it's in the toilet. I need what's in the toilet to go down the drain because there's nothing I hate more than plunging or working on dirty plumbing. Not gonna happen in this house. So I know it's gonna be very difficult to see what's going on here. That's okay. Like I said, we're gonna get this covered in another episode. So I decided this time to not go with a wax ring. That's kind of the traditional big hunk of wax that sits right here and seals up into the bottom side of the toilet. A lot of y'all recommended I try this new style right here. A lot of big bold claims for this kind of rubberized foam material here. It's supposed to sandwich up and seal very well. What I like about it is if I ever have to reposition the toilet or when I tear it out down the road, there's nothing more disgusting than an old wax seal. And actually these toilets came with wax seals. I'm glad I decided not to go with them because one is already split and broken in half. Hopefully this holds up really well. If not, we can always go to a wax seal down the road. So I'm going to put my bolts in. All right, we'll put our seal down and over. Concave portion goes right down into the toilet flange there. That looks good. All right, now to see if I can actually get the toilet to slide down over these bolt holes. Easier said than done. This is where I hate a wax seal. Sometimes it falls out. Sometimes it doesn't stick correctly. All right, so after reading the instructions, I decided to go with the thicker ring based on the height above the floor of my flanges. It's very rocky, but it talked about putting a lot of weight down on this, tightening, waiting a little bit, and letting that foam ring compress. I'd much rather have it be a little too thick under here and seal out well, as long as the toilet isn't rocking. Otherwise, we can remove it and put the thinner one back in. But I got on the floor and looked underneath. I just wasn't happy with the amount of contact with the thin ring. So I'm just putting pressure down on this toilet while I'm tightening down these hand nuts that come with it. Actually feels pretty good. It took the majority of the rock out. So I'll let this continue to compress and check and see if I can tighten these nuts up just a little bit more a little later on. All right, so next we'll install the upper section. I did have to put this gasket on right there. Line everything up. With this little plastic wrench that you can use either end to tighten all the different components here, including this end right here. We'll do that. I'm wanting to make for sure that I only hand tighten everything that's critical. That's why they include this. You can actually crack porcelain very easy. I'm hand tightening the nuts down that's holding the toilet down. I'll use this as well, and the ones that connect the tank. Okay, now it's time to install the seat and lid. Comes with these plastic screws right here with more hand tightened nuts. All right, and as you can see, this comes with a soft close lid and seat. So all that's left to do is hook up the water supply line and test this out. We're going to catch all the plumbing in another episode. Before I kill water to the house, flush and drain the lines so I can do more hookups, I'm waiting for another faucet set and all to come in, and we're going to tackle vanities, the other toilet, all at the same time, let our glue set up overnight, and then test everything. All right, so one step closer. As you can see, I forgot to record an outro. It's the next day. We just got back from Lowe's. I've picked up a bunch of stuff. So coming up in the next episode, we're going to start connecting all the water lines. We're going to hook up vanities, all the plumbing needed there, as well as in here. So yeah, a lot of plumbing coming. Kitchen is now looking pretty much complete, other than I have what I need to connect the dishwasher and the sink over there. As far as the stove, y'all know that arrived, well, not working. They sent a tech out quickly. I signed up with Whirlpool, sent a tech out. He's already ordered some parts. He either thinks it's the valve like myself or control board. So we should be getting into that this coming up week for repair. Like I said, all this plumbing. I'm gonna pop a few lights and stuff in and out on the porch, even though it's not painted, because I'm trying to get the inspector out here to see if I can get the thumbs up for permanent power to the house and get his opinion on what else he needs to see for me to get that CO. The only big concern that I have left is, well, the loft. He may require some sort of railing up there, but I'm not sure, being that there is no technical access other than an attic ladder back there. So I'll have to get his opinion on that. Otherwise, I think we're very close to permanent power. Then after he signs off that, potentially getting our CO. Now, yes, we have a lot more stuff to do. Trimming out windows, things like that. The bedroom is now complete. We can move in there, not be in our way. We do plan to live in this house as we finish out small things. The CO means, hey, it's ready for occupancy. It doesn't mean you've got every trim, nut and bolt, and detail done. So, a lot more projects coming. Catch y'all in the next video.